Hi there, I'm the Utopian Trainer, and welcome to another in the series of Utopian Conversations. So if this is the first Utopian Conversation that you are watching, then click on the subscribe button that you see here. It took me a while to work out which way to point at, because of course you're seeing everything in mirror image here. So this is like a utopian community that we're building here, because it interests me to find out what kind of future world, ideal world would you like to have. So today we have our Basha's here to tell us about her utopia. So Basha, how are you doing?
Hi, Ian. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot, 1,000 times for inviting me to your amazing conversation. I love it.
That sound. I mean, I normally just learn so much from these conversations that we're having here. So where are you at the moment?
Currently, I'm based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I'm living and working here since almost 4 years now. So this is, let's say, my place for now, my place. And I think it will be my place for a longer time.
All right, sound. Now, what kind of work do you do?
Basically, intercultural work, diversity work. So for many, many years, I worked as intercultural trainer and coach. And then I swapped over to being more like an intercultural diversity consultant. And right now I'm actually training trainers in the intercultural field, how to train others. So I'm basically train the intercultural trainer series. So this is what we offer here in Amsterdam, and of course online due to the COVID times.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, we met each other something like 2.5 years ago because there was this Sieta Congress taking place. It was the first Sieta Congress that I turned up to. I found it like a really cool experience because I attended a workshop of yours, creative learning or something.
Yeah, it was definitely about design thinking. I remember
design thinking, that was it. Yeah.
Design thinking in the cultural or diversity work, and I really like this approach because everything that is, goes out of the normal frame is something that really kicks in, and I love doing it.
Yeah. Right. So I try to keep these interviews down to a nice, sharp half an hour. I've not managed it once, though, because we always, as we start talking more things coming up, the first one's always like an hour and a quarter, and then one of the people recommended me keep it down quicker. So let's get...
It's a good sign. It's a good sign, though.
Exactly. So let's get to it. So what's your utopia then?
Yeah, my utopia is, I must say, when I got the invitation to have this conversation with you, I really started thinking about my utopia and what it actually means for me. And I believe that my utopia is basically the island, as I call it, the island or the place where people use their natural talents and basically focus on what they already have. Everyone really, and what they are naturally able to give instead of looking outside and running to look for more and really trying to be someone they are not. And my utopia will be in that sense, everyone living and working and sharing those valuable expertises of those valuable things that they know by experience, that they know by heart. And and then there are, of course, others who are interested in what they have to offer. So it's like a community that really grows and learns from each other. And I would say on a hearted level, in a very friendly human atmosphere. So you hear me already. It's not about red race. It's more about really seeing where I'm at, what I can offer, and how I can benefit being on the other side.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting that you speak about an island, because of course the reason why we have the word utopia was because Thomas More made together two words meaning like no place, in which he based his story utopia like on an island. So, and an analysis I was reading about this recently, it was saying the thing about an island is it actually is an enclosed space. It's a place which is like cut off from other places. Also, like the biblical myth of like Eden. Eden's actually means like a walled off kind of garden. So you're kind of showing there is some kind of difference between like the way that you would have the kind of community and things that you are experiencing like now, if you're talking about this other place. So how would you say your work then contributes then to this utopia of yours?
It's a very good question. Ian, in my work, so the main approach of my work and how I create my work is really look at the talents. So we know there's a lot of knowledge that one needs to have, like all these tools and all these models that we are using in a diversity work or diversity and inclusion or intercultural work. So you need to know it as well. But the main point, really the main focus of mine and the contribution I believe I'm doing is to show that our clients, our participants come already with a huge instrument, which is their own, which is them. So which is the individual person. And to kind of open up this and make people understand, hey, you are enough, and you can based on, you can kind of learn a little bit or learn how to navigate your knowledge to kind of give it to others or pass it on to others. This is, I think, the contribution. And, we do it in the intercultural trainer setting, but we also do it with companies or with individuals. And I'm saying we because we are a group of trainers, not only me, but yeah, if I would need to talk about myself, it's also me who is always looking, hey, look, this is how you are born, this is your way, this is what you experience. So why don't you basically take your experiences and tell people how it was for you, and what it did to you and how you learned from that, so people can kind of connect with you on a hard level and see, connect to the story instead of connecting to a model, which at the beginning means nothing basically to none of us. Yeah, so my contribution.
So you're mentioning models. Could you be a bit more specific on that? So you're connecting more to your own individual kind of talents, your own individual self, and not to models. Could you? What do you mean by models?
Look, there's like different models out there. For instance, if we talk about the intercultural field. So usually people work with some kind of cultural dimensions or maybe some kind of inventories, where you are able to scale your power distance or attitude to power or attitude to whatsoever, to communication on a certain scale. And usually as trainers, people have the tendency to come with the model, come with the scale into the training room or to a group of people, say, hey, this is where you are at, this is the scale, and this is where you should be when you work in the diverse team. And it makes sense. Of course, it's a model, so it needs to make sense. Nevertheless, I believe that before the model comes into action, there is something completely different. There is this personal story, that needs to be the connector. Hey, I experienced it like that, so that's my story. This is what I encountered, a situation connected to power, so people can relate because everybody is living these experiences on a daily basis. And then, at the end comes the model. Look, if you need more information, look, there's also a scale that somebody invented, or there is like a tool that you can play with and see where your colleagues are at. But it's not really like, it's not defining you. You are defining yourself. And the model, the tool, is just the kind of, additional extra, if I may say so.
That sounds, that says something to me. The thing is, I kind of do the opposite, maybe. I mean, intercultural work is only a small part of my work. And then I started learning about it, and everyone else was doing like thing where like card games, and everyone's got like different rules, or you're drawing something, but everyone's seeing something picture, and it's all about how you observe things, just to do with how you were brought up, kind of things. And there's the one of the models I often use is the Riedman Hall, so like an attitudes towards like context or possessions or this kind of thing.
Yeah, you see.
The reason why I got into this is that I find that people, they want, I mean, maybe it's because the people I have is younger, they're going to do a voluntary service. They want to have something fest. They want to have something in their hand. I know this, I understand this. And if I'm trying to do something which is about, okay, that's all subjective on who your own individual needs are, and we can't just talk about the Germans and the Poles, rather, there's many different things going on. And sometimes people are feeling let down by this because they feel I'm learning nothing because I want to get a theory, I want to get some kind of like model coming my way. So do you have like a similar experience that people are you have to feel people are wanting to be told who they are?
Exactly. I have the same experiences. I make it every day. I make them every day, and I make them every day, because like we talk about intercultural communication, right? It's not really like tangible, right? It's an intercultural communication, so communication and culture, and then along by the fact how to make communication tangible. Already without the intercultural stuff, and then adding culture to it, it's more like, it seems a little bit fluffy, even when you and when you're an expert in it, you know what it is about. If you encounter someone who is an intercultural communication specialist, like, what is this person doing? So I completely understand you, and I encounter it as well, especially with groups who are new to the topic. So they need to have they need to have kind of a tool, kind of a master tool to place themselves in. And it's maybe not in utopia, but Ian, everybody likes to do this psychology test where you actually define yourself. Oh, am I an intro, extrovert, or am I liking, what do I like? So actually, yes, it's one of the sides. So I understand that people love it. And I understand also for myself, when people hear the story, first, or the story about how this tool might be of help, and what, like if you connect it to a storytelling experience, then it stays like longer. It's like more understandable, more wide, more bright.
Now, always writing notes here, is that a method I like doing is called, I learned it as who are you? I changed it to what group do you belong to, where you're basically doing an interview and you're asking each other 10 times the same question, which group do you belong to, or who are you? And I like it because it kind of deconstructs the nation really, because I've done like an international youth exchange. And there was a bit of peer pressure, because I was like, I don't want to talk about the Poles and the Georgians and the Estonians and the Russians. There's other things going on. But in the political context of like states which became like independent, like in the last 20, 25 years, there was a different need to be talking about this is us. We are these people, with the we being defined like as a nation. And the thing is, this is why, the reason why I started doing these utopian conversations was because of the same event that we turned up to with this talk with Milton Bennett, in which he was talking about like the future, where is interculturalism like going towards. And for me, the kind of question came up of, which identity then are we focusing on in this? Because is it the case that if we're focusing on the national, the nation, the national identity, does this help us to bring us from point A to this kind of utopia? So your approach sounds really like something I can go with, and it shows me my approach is somewhat like superficial, because it's like it's showing we're working like an understanding who is the individual.
But in that sense, Ian, I value what you're saying, and I also value these exercises you are doing, like 10 times question, who am I? And what I wanted to add to it, regardless of the place where we are at, or regardless of the nation, this exercise needs to be done really 1,000 times in order to get deep enough. So at the beginning, everyone will say, I assume, who is not really like, maybe diversity skilled, everyone would say, yeah, I'm from Poland, or I'm a British, or I'm Scottish, because it's such a strong identity as well, right? But then if you add it, if you do it 100 times, people start thinking differently, because, okay, this was it. It was. So who am I? What am I? And we go just deeper. And in that sense, I think we hit somewhere at some point, maybe values, or maybe even the and let me put it this way, like this egoless state, like we are, I am that, I am nothing, because at the end, who are we actually? Where are we? So coming from the surface, going very, very deep.
I didn't say, as part of the exercise, you then have to start you have like on 10 pieces of paper, 10 different answers, and then you have to put the one on the floor that's the least important for you, which is often difficult for some, but then you have like 4 left in the end. And interestingly, nation is sometimes there in an international context, if it's an international group, but often it's not there. It's other things like family, friends, other things.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But you were just going to say.
Yeah, I encountered this exercise yesterday. I am reading a book again about the business model U. I don't remember the authors, actually, I can look it up. And in that exercise, the authors are actually inviting to do it, this papers and to write who am I, in order to find the real purpose of you not having a burnout when working, but really getting in touch with things that you love doing and kind of making your job or an element of your job out of it. So we can use it in different forms.
Mm-hmm. You know, because this is like, how many of these done now? This is the 6th utopian conversation, or the 5th I've done. And an egoless state. This is something that interests me, because one of the reasons why I like doing this utopian conversations in the plural is that because I think we all have our own like perspective on things, and I like to see where the similarities between like one person's utopia and others. So this talk of like intercultural work as serving the reduction of the ego. Mm-hmm. This is an interesting thing, because it was when I spoke with Davy Denker, he's a musician. He was talking about how like with music, as he's a musician, that we elevate our consciousness. And when I was talking with Maria Amtkowska, she was also talking about, we in the singing, the communities in workshops, we experience ourselves. So we kind of go, I'm going to extrapolate, there's a good word. I'm going to go beyond what she said, but kind of we experience ourselves not as just this individual thing, but we are in connection with like something else. And therefore, the way you express your work, it sounds like it contributes a lot towards working towards a utopia.
Yeah,
like in terms of the skills.
Does. For me, it does. And I think like now when you said about, the egoless state and how it actually influences the way you feel or the way you are in the moment, this is exactly what it is. Because in the training room, let's put it this way, or when, in a diverse team in a training room, we all go at some point, we all enter, how I experience it, we all enter a place and a space of a deeper understanding, a deeper meaning. It's not about the cognitive aha, we got it, but it's about aha and the intention, behind it. The aha, I can shift my attitude, or I can shift the way I'm collaborating, or I can shift the way I see people. And I think this is what brings goosebumps on my body, and this is what I actually value in our profession. And it's not only intercultural profession, but I believe everywhere you work with people, where people have the moment of breathing in and out and understanding there is so much more than just being here and thinking about me being Polish or being German or being Dutch or whatsoever. It's much more, and there's almost no words to describe it. I hope this is understandable.
It is, yeah. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. We kind of learn the other people, and they have their own like understandings of things, but also the things that they find important. So this brings me to I like to politicize things. This is my main thing. I want to say politicize. I don't mean in terms of like party politics or something like that, because I can say we can talk a lot of negative things about that. But thinking about like the wider influence in society, and if we were to like do just a brief analysis of where politics is going, just say like in Europe, for example, we're not necessarily seeing societies going in the direction. We're seeing shifts in attitude in society, but going not really in the right way, really. So you have like interculturalism, you're bringing in your own like skills to try to bring society more into a direction more in keeping with like your values. But what other forms of work do you find is useful for producing like kind of society that you'd like to live in? So outside of your field of work?
Definitely inner research, so inner quest. So basically, when we meet here, you meet a person who is very much dedicated to self-development in a sense of almost spirituality, not almost, but, you know, looking for who am I, and who am I again, who am I, but skipping the exercise, but, you know, like looking inside, and in that sense, dealing with the own issues and working through them. So basically, the society I would love to, and I'm heading towards it, live in is full of people who are embracing their light and the darkness, and people who are aware of what's happening inside. So in that, having said that, I believe then that once everyone is fully, you know, aware, knowing, you know, oneself, there is not such an issue like being busy with somebody else or nagging on somebody else, because you just completely, okay with yourself, kind of, you look where you need to look inside. And when everybody would do that, Ian, that's my utopia, of course, we would live in a peaceful, diverse society without all this political, you know, almost cramps who are, causing so many issues around the world right now. I don't know if my island is something where my island is also an island full of work, because you see, like, looking inside is not really something like easy to confront and to being confronted. I believe is something, it's heavy work basically, but it's worth it. So what do you think about it?
I mean, really, it does sound like it kind of links in for me with the issue of how, like, children are being brought up, and whether they've been brought up to be, like, aware of themselves, or they've been brought up in order to compete better with other children, you know, who can do this better, who can do that better, which doesn't necessarily always involve a lot of, like, deep self-reflection about what one should be having in life. This is why I'm interested in, like, the issue of, like, coalitions, because it sounds like psychological skills. Like what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. You know, at some point, I also realized my intercultural work, or work as a consultant and trainer and coach, it was okay, but I always had a tendency to look for more, always. And this is why at some point I started therapist training, because I understood there is so much more to bring into the, you know, coaching environment, or even training room, where people can dive into not only the models, as I mentioned at the very beginning, and also the personal stories, but also, who am I, and how can I release what I am, and how can I accept the light and the shadow, as I say, and how can I, you know, make my life easier, and by doing that, make the lives of the others easier. So therapist training did a lot, and it's a lot about emotional release, which I saw also on your YouTube channel. So one of the most important parts, I think, and currently, I mean, Corona, yes or not, but especially during COVID, we kind of all so tensed, you know, we are so, like, I see it myself, you know, I don't have so many opportunities to really release all this brain fog, all this knowledge, all this tension in my body, all this fear. So I see what it does actually when one does not do it regularly. In that sense, what to say? We my island, let's work it out. Let's work it out.
So it kind of brings us back to the beginning, because it kind of brings us back in touch with ourselves, and we can lose touch with ourselves. But by being in a community where it's not being focused on competition, for example, we're utilizing each of the skills, each of the talents that we have, then it's much more about, like, self-awareness, self-actualization.
Exactly. And it's a lot of work, because I see it with my clients, especially the clients that come for the intercultural trainer course. And, you know, we all at the beginning have the tendency to look for something we want to be, like, I will be an intercultural trainer for everything. But the moment we say, or I say, hey, but look at your personal story, at your why do you do the things you do, and what happened to you that you became the person you are now, and that these issues are so important to you, that's the moment where people kind of need to look more deeply. So what's the driving force, right? So, because once you have it, then you have not only found yourself, your story, but also your unique selling point. It's also about business. at some point, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually you will find your clients, people who are eventually looking for the same things that you already found. But we need to talk about it, otherwise it stays like a hidden knowledge.
Yeah.
Available on the island Barbara Barczak.
It sounds a bit, because just before this, I was listening to this talk with Ken Honda. You may have heard of him, this Japanese billionaire, because I was doing this course with Mind Valley, and there was like happy money, or happy money EQ was the course was about, and he was saying, yeah, we need to work out how can we like just contribute, and how can we make other people happy, and in order to know that, we have to realize ourselves what do we have which we can give.
Interesting, isn't it? I haven't been participating in that course. I know Mind Valley a lot, but I can agree with that. I mean, yeah, if you contribute, it seems so easy, right? If one contributes with what one naturally have or has, and that becomes paid, so part of work, I mean, that's like vacation almost, right? So it's very fulfilling. I mean, very fulfilling. Yeah.
And I think one thing that I see, because I had this impression when I was participating in your workshop, because while I was talking, I made a mistake with English. I just made up a compound word, and I can't remember what the word was, but then you wrote it down on the flip chart with a heart like next to it. And I think this fosters like an atmosphere of trust. And both of us know Poland quite well. And I don't want to single out Poland, saying there's only Poland that's got problems, but I saw a survey recently that said that 76% of people, when asked, do not trust people who they don't know. And
wow.
Yeah, and also there was some chamber of commerce, so some economical foundation, and there was a series of articles in Gazeta Wyborcza in which it was saying that it's the lack of trust which most hinders the Polish economy, because people are not working with people they don't know. So I think like the issue of trust, so like your focus in work, it builds trust by the sounds of it.
I believe so. To be honest, trust is one. I mean, for me, it's easy. I mean, I feel people I feel people easily. So it's my big skill, my big strength, which I implement in the places I am. I assume that not everyone has it. And especially in Poland, I mean, especially there's other countries as well, but I'm from Poland, so I see it, the political past and the historical past. There is not so much place left to really build trust, because as we look back, we see that Polish society couldn't trust the political members, or couldn't trust the government. It was actually not good to trust anybody. It was life-saving not to trust anybody. So I believe it takes some time to get out of this perception still, which is always a big thing if it's a mind that actually runs through generations. So yeah, next generation, and a lot of course, education on the way, and fostering trust is also with sharing information easily. So one of my school's teaching actually is keep it simple. Why do we complicate things? I mean, communication can be so simple. It's rather yes or no. It's rather black or white. It's sometimes gray, but just call it out. It's gray, and don't make a fog out of it. Sometimes we use these fancy words and descriptions. PhD thesis is like a book that only 7 people read. Can you imagine, Ian? So I wrote a PhD, only 7 people read it. That's like a statistics. So my question is, why don't we do things in a simple way, so the wider public can understand it and want to read it, wants to deal with it, instead of thinking, what is this person talking about? I don't have it. So yeah. So simplicity. So that's probably also the reason why I wrote it on the flip chart, because once I have something which is new, I just write it for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's like a natural tendency. I know it, I learned it, so you can learn it as well. I can do it, you can do it.
I mean, what you're saying, this is why I'm doing these utopian conversations, because the reason I got into utopia in the first place was by reading political books, and some of them were like pretty academic, and I mean, I was reading them in German, so I was having to concentrate like quite hard. But even I think for like people with German as first language, I wouldn't necessarily like get all the concepts and references to this person, references to that person. And sometimes when I'm watching videos, I'm thinking, this is really, really cool. This is really cool, but I really got to try to understand this here. And if I'm who is making the effort to understand this, is having trouble with this, what people are not interested in, you want to get them interested, but you stay in your own little like bubble of like academia really, and using like jargon. This is why I am like impressed by what you're saying. And, you know, I'll be totally like, let's be transparent here. Of the utopian conversations I'm doing, the ones where I have to really stretch my mind the most is with yourself, and also with Kuang Yi, who you know also like from Sieta, because basically the intercultural focus is not really like my focus, and the things that you concern you are not totally, or the words that you use is not really my vocabulary. But I'm not saying this, I'm saying this in a way basically I have much to learn from you, you know, and this is what I'm trying to do basically with these utopian conversations here.
I love that you started the channel. Actually, I was thinking about it a lot, and I was also thinking about, yes, this is interesting. This is like Ian, who is interested in utopian conversations, and he's doing it. So basically, I admire that. So you basically, what you feel for you is important. So your skills, you know, your questions, you just put it out there, and here you go. You have people watching you. You have people subscribing to your channel, me. So it is valuable. It is valuable for others. And, you know, stretching the vocabulary or not, I love to say that, you know, everyone likes and loves Albert Einstein, I believe. And if not, you should, everyone who's listening to that, because this guy, incredible brain, you know, like neuron systems out of our reach. He says, very simple, keep things simple, explain things simple, but not simpler. Mm-hmm. So basically, right, keep it how I understood it, keep it in a way that people follow you and want to hear you, want to listen to you, and want to ask you a question, but don't keep it, you know, like, oh, it's too simple, it's not really worth talking about it. Mm-hmm. So congratulations to your channel. This is actually what I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I like Einstein as well. So as usual, we've come over the half-hour limit, which I've set, but I think it's good to break your own rules. And I think there's a utopian skill, a rule, a society with rules that you break. Anyway.
Yeah. So how cool.
Yeah. So if people want to find out more about you, your work, get in touch. Do you have a website or something?
Yeah, we have a website. If you just type in the Google or whatever search machine engine, European Institute for Intercultural Development, you will find me. You will find a set of different trainers. You can get in touch with me on the, you know, social media via LinkedIn or via Facebook, and with other trainers as well. So feel free to, click, get in touch, and let's have a conversation and build trust. I think this is a good moment to say.
Yeah, and by the time you watch this video, a link to this website will be in the description of this video underneath. Or if it's on Facebook, there, or on Instagram, there. No, there.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that.
Really, I feel moved by this somehow. I don't know what. I'll have to go out and reflect now, but I found this like being a moving conversation. Jessica, I'm loving doing these conversations because we've all got so much to learn, and with people, highly skilled, beautiful people like yourself, we can, So, thank you again. I'm gonna press stop in a moment. So, thank you again. I'm gonna wish you a great day.
Good luck for the future, and see you soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.